Has your pupil ever rushed up to a roundabout really quickly and you're sitting there thinking, please see the car from your right, please see the car on your right, and then the next thing you know, you're hitting the brakes or shouting stop? Well, we've all been there. But when we think of goals and needs on the ADI Part 3 marking sheet, the goal may be to approach roundabouts slower. But how do we achieve that? Well, in this video, we're going to help you to understand it. You see, if your pupil is rushing up to roundabouts, it's not just their fault, it's yours. Because unless you set the right goal and think what they need to do to fix it, it will always go wrong every time. On the Part 3 test, you're not just coaching a driver, you're proving you can spot faults, find the reason behind them, and set a goal that matches the need. If you miss that link, suddenly you're heading for a fail. So what we're going to do is look at various reasons for them approaching a roundabout too quickly. So the first is not actually spotting the roundabout early enough. They don't see the roundabout coming. Do they know to look for roundabout signs? Do they know to look for road markings? You might think yes, but we had this a while back with a trainee who, when he was doing this subject with his pupil, said, "Can I ask your pupil a question? Do you actually know how to identify roundabouts?" "No," came the reply. "Yes, you do," said the instructor. "Otherwise, how have we managed to do them?" "Well, I know there's one coming because you always say, at the roundabout, go left, go right, go straight ahead." They weren't actually identifying them for themselves. They were purely reliant on the instructor's command. At the roundabout, like you to follow the road ahead, second exit. Is that the reason? Ask basic questions. Do you know how we tell? Do we have the triangle sign with the roundabout? The normal roundabout sign? And if we don't have either of those signs, what are the road markings we need to be looking for? Do they actually know this? You need to find out. The goal is approaching roundabouts slower. What do they need to do to get to that point? They need to identify there's a roundabout coming up. The second most common fault is not identifying if it's an open or a closed junction. If it's a closed junction, they're coming up way too quickly because they simply don't know what's coming. At an open roundabout, the danger is they can look and presume it's fine, but the traffic and the roundabout is still a few seconds away, so everything's going to change. One of the major issues with open roundabouts is pupils sometimes presume an open roundabout is an empty roundabout. No, it's not, because in the 3 or 4 seconds it's going to take you to get to that roundabout, what was a big gap is going to be the car in front of you. For a closed junction, it's the same as when you're doing a merging. They're not going to see anything till the last second. So is that the pupil's fault? So the goal is approaching the roundabout under control with regards to speed, and we're going to do that, or you need to get used to identifying if it's an open or a closed junction on approach. The third reason they can be coming up too quick, they're simply in the wrong lane on approach, and instead of planning their speed, they're fighting to change lanes. So their need is to work on lane discipline on approach. So the goal is approaching roundabouts slower, and we need to achieve this by knowing which lane we're going to be in so we can choose the correct lane earlier, so speed and observations are not forgotten. The fourth reason for approaching too quickly can be just speed on its own. They don't know what's realistic for this roundabout. Is it a closed junction? Yes. So what speed's that? Don't know. I'm on a 30 road, so I think 20. is going to be fine. But then what if it's flipped and it's a higher speed road? The roundabout is big and wide and open. What speed can we do this? So the need is speed awareness. We need to be able to adapt the speed on approach dependent on the roundabout, its size, and the visibility on approach. So our goal is to approach slower, and we're going to practice this by using different size roundabouts on different size roads. The fifth reason, they're coming up too quick, but why? Because they're doing a late routine. By the time they start to do MSPSGL, it's too late. They're getting to the giveaway line and they're still desperately trying to put the car in second gear, so you're shouting, stop, there's a car on the right. What do they need? They need to get all the gear changes done so that the last 4-5 seconds is them approaching the roundabout, being able to look if it's clear to go or they need to stop. Fault number 6 is looking too early or too late. Observation. Some look too late and therefore they're stopping when it's blatantly clear to go. Others look too early. They assume it's clear. Well, the reason you couldn't see anything was it was a closed junction. Our goal, we're going to look and determine if the junction is open or closed, and then we're going to determine as we're closer whether there is a gap and space to go or not. Same goal of slowing down on approach to roundabouts, getting the speed under control, but the need is different. You see, what you have to realise, sometimes speed isn't the issue. They're coming up fast, but they're not speeding. Well, what do we mean? Well, what if there's a queue of traffic ahead of us? We're actually coming up at the right speed for the roundabout, but because of the queue of traffic in front of us, which is fault number 7, are they ignoring the traffic? They're actually coming up too fast, because we should be focused on the vehicles ahead and then determining, well, can I go or not? Do I need to focus on the roundabout? You do it as a driver. If there's one car in front and it's just crawling along, waiting for the gap, it's going to be gone before we get there, you'll focus on the roundabout. However, if there's a queue of 4-5 cars waiting, not moving at the roundabout, as a driver, your total focus is going to be the vehicles in front, because you're thinking, well, until they go, doesn't matter about the gap because I can't go. That's what you need to be teaching your learner. So the goal is approaching roundabouts with the correct speed for the conditions, not just always slowing down. To do that, we need to assess the traffic ahead. So we're going to go and do 2 or 3 really busy roundabouts, and we're going to focus on just judging what the traffic in front is doing before we decide whether we need to switch focus to the next bit on the roundabout. The final reason is very often down to the instructor. And that reason is just looking right at roundabouts. So they're coming up far too quick because there's a car coming from opposite. At roundabouts, left, ahead and right is an acceptable observation. Is there a queue of traffic on the left side? So it doesn't matter if there's a gap. I can't go anywhere because I can't block the roundabout. So I need to stop at the line. Are there pedestrians already walking across the road on the left? So therefore, I can't go at the roundabout because there are pedestrians in the road. But also ahead, as a driver, think to yourself, do I just look to the right? Or do I look ahead and round to the right as well? So I'm going from 12 o'clock and sweeping round. Now, very often, the instructor is just saying to the pupil, look to the right. So the car that is coming from the 12 o'clock position and is coming round quickly, the pupil doesn't see because I'm not looking ahead of me. I'm focusing that way. Is that what they need to work on? Scanning on approach, because if we start the scan far enough back, you're already taking in left and ahead as part of your view. You can see it in your vision. But definitely as we get to the roundabout, looking straight ahead, looking round to the right, scanning like a windscreen wiper. Is it safe to go? And our final bonus one, as they're approaching the roundabout, they're coming up too fast. But is that because they're fixed on the roundabout and not the change of speed limit sign before they actually get to it? So here they're looking, they're going right, they're looking right, it's an open junction, but what they're not doing is looking at the change of speed limit sign before they get to the roundabout. In summary, every rushed approach has a reason. It's your job to find that reason. It's your job to turn that into a need and therefore set a clear, specific goal. Because when the examiner looks at the marking sheet, they're not just asking, did the pupil improve? They're asking, did you set the right goal? And to make that improvement, did you know what the pupil needed to do? And that's the difference between a 3 and a 1. If this has helped you understand goals and needs, specifically with approach to roundabouts on the Part 3 marking sheet, don't forget to share, subscribe and follow us. And by subscribing to our top ADI package, that gives you insights, that gives you the opportunity for one-to-one sessions up to half an hour where you can ask questions that you're struggling with. So feel free to click that button and we look forward to you being part of the driver training family. Now, along with this, we've created a one-page handout. So if you go to the courses website, adionline.co.uk, you can download that as a quick reference guide for you and your pupils if they're approaching roundabouts too quickly. So remember, what's the goal for today's lesson? And then what is it the pupil needs to do to achieve that? We look forward to seeing you all again in our next video.